For our first tour outside of the capital, we took a Grey Line tour bus to see the 7-hour Golden Circle tour. The most popular tour in Iceland is not too far out from the capital, but offers a wide enough variety of what Iceland has to offer, and is a great introductory tour for anyone who wants to see a lot in one day.
Especially the one that you see where the white smoke is. That's the plant that you will visit today.
I was very excited for this trip because it was the first experience we would have to see Iceland's beautiful landscape. It was also fun to hear from an Icelandic tour guide with his accent, explaining what we were seeing and where we would be visiting.
To warm your house here in Iceland, this is very cheap, or should be very cheap energy that we get here. And many times the top layer of the Hoya flow will cool and solidify. The weight of the glacier has pressed this down, and that means that
it looked like a completely different world to me. It was so sculpted by the forces of nature. I was so happy to stand out in it when the bus stopped for a short break in a picturesque location. Just this one stop made me overwhelmingly eager to explore the main attractions we were going to visit. I mean, just the views from the first 30 minutes of this expedition would have been enough for me, but I still had yet to learn about the greatest places on this island that bring people from all over the world to see. Out on this windy area was our first major stop, Villard National Park. A UNESCO World Heritage Site for 2 reasons. Other than it being a lovely view, as most places in Iceland are, it is the site of Iceland's first parliament made in 930 AD, and it's also the place where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates slowly separate, forming huge rocky rifts in the ground and creating a broad valley. Some of the rifts are actually full of water where some people go scuba diving or snorkeling in.
The church you saw beside the funny houses, 3 houses, when you were standing on the upper plain. This is a place where the Norwegian king, after we took Christianity, put the first church down. That was here. And the house...
Our Icelandic guide told us all about the history and folklore of everywhere we went throughout the entire tour, as we marveled at what was in front of our eyes.
What are your thoughts, Dad?
Literally, but without the wind it would have been better. I can't imagine being inside a tent helping, but anyways, we climbed on board in our Grey Line bus and proceeded to our next major stop, which was the Gullfoss Waterfall.
Pool Lake. And why? Because in the lake there are so many...
The mountains you're looking at are actually volcanoes. One of them is Hekla, a volcano that has been known to Vikings as the gates to hell, and off in the distance should be you know what, I'll just let Google pronounce it. That particular volcano was the one in 2010 that disrupted transatlantic flights and made everybody mad at Iceland. But at least Icelanders got to laugh at how reporters tried to say the name. Anyways, as we rode through the countryside, already impressed with what we had seen, I was eager to see the next Icelandic wonder. What you are seeing right there is one of several of Iceland's major glaciers. Out in this area we experienced the strongest winds from the entire trip. What we had come to see, however, was Iceland's largest waterfall. The river plunges into an enormously deep ravine, creating a breathtaking sight as the river's worth of water spills into the abyss every second.
We have a little drive to the geyser area, the geothermal hot springs, but he is working every day. You could call him, he is a tourist hot spring.
I had never actually had the first-hand experience of seeing a geyser eruption, but I have now. Our tour backtracked to the geothermal area where the geyser named Strucker erupts high into the sky about every 10 minutes. There used to be a larger geyser named Geyser, and yes, the word geyser actually came from this particular geyser that had very dramatic eruptions, but a while ago an earthquake put it into hibernation. It was still really windy outside, and the spring smelled like sulfur, but it didn't take away from the experience. I, being short on time, ran, out of complete curiosity, up the mountain that looked over the springs, as it looked like many people were walking up the slope, being curious as well. The view on top was great, but it was time we needed to go, so I ran back down. I think a bit of the explorer side got to me, and in this country, exploring is the best way to see it. The next place we visited was a historical site.
This church in Scandinavia, so that's how powerful this place was historically.
Here we learned even more history about Iceland, and got to be in one of the places that we read about in the National Museum back in Reykjavik. We got to go inside the church and the turf roof house.
Was that the women sat on the northern side, and the men on the south side? Probably because it was much colder over there that the men wanted to be in the heat.
But what really interested me the most was just to sit down and look at the wind-sculpted sky and the mountains in front. As we were nearing the end of our trip, I was once again reminded of Iceland's unusual landscape. Like its weather, it seems to change every 5 minutes. You could drive out in some flat stretch of land by a small town, drive by some mountains, and on the other side there would be a moon-like lava field. It was in one of these dry, rocky places where we visited a geothermal power plant as our final stop of the day. This large facility, with architecture reminiscent to Harpa's, is a major source of the island's power. Geothermal energy is very abundant here. An employee there showed us the geothermal energy harnessing process, where this plant alone produces enough electricity to power all of Reykjavik. In sum, this tour would never be forgotten, because with it came memories that would be kept forever.